Welcome everybody to our May 2025 town hall. Quite an exciting one this time, following on from our last one, which was end of March, where we showed off our um, new studio demo effectively back then, where you can make building and editing sites far easier. And we now have an alpha version released, which I'll be demoing quickly and then show you how you can get started and use it. We'll also be looking at some other things that we've released, like custom fields on pages, maybe hear how you're getting on with that, and talk quickly about what's coming, Site API and a few other things coming very, very soon. And then obviously, as always, over to you guys for questions and hopefully discuss next steps on feedback, what you guys would like to see on Studio, that kind of stuff, and just generally answer any questions. Great. I will share my screen. I'm hoping to keep this demo relatively short so that we can then, get into any questions, and also so for the recording, it's quite clear how it all works and everything. And then we'll be there to support you guys on Discord and wherever it might be, live chat as you get started and using it. Firstly, an apologies that we didn't give much notice for this meeting. We've been working away on the release and wanted to get it out as soon as possible. So apologies if anybody can't make it because we didn't give the usual amount of notice. Right, let's get started. Hopefully you can see my screen okay. So we have this is in alpha, this is the new Studio UI. So there is a new domain for that, which I'll explain later on how to get started, but that's studio-alpha.siteglide.support.com. Reasons for that, but it will all be available on admin very, very soon. And it's a modular module install to manage it. So totally separate from your other sites and no issues there. So essentially, once you're set up, it's a site template at the moment that you can create from the marketplace, and that will have everything installed, and it will be exactly this demo. And once you set up and on the right domain, when you come into CMS, you'll see a new tab called Studio, and that will bring you to this UI here, which starts off on pages, but you have some tabs for managing your templates and also managing your themes as well. I'll explain how all of that works. We've got both Bootstrap 5 and Flowbyte, Soft UI for Bootstrap 5 and Flowbyte for Tailwind set up as examples in this site template. So whichever way you want to go, or if you want to do a completely custom one, the point we're showing here is that it's totally customizable and flexible. We basically don't get involved with your code base. You can do whatever you want to do, and as long as you make it fit in with the schema for the UI, then it'll just all work. So if we jump into, let's go into the Bootstrap one first quickly. Everything always seems to run slow on Zoom. I don't know why. Apologies. Very, very slowly. So you'll see everything's all in kind of one UI now to make things a lot quicker to manage. There was too much jumping around before with the whole site builder route. Just to be clear on that, this is an evolution effectively of Studio, site builder, and all the things we've learned over the years, so that we've kept our principle of design systems, but you've also got total control over just using a template from ThemeForest, importing an existing website, rebuilding or switching over an existing Siteglide website. There's so many things you can do with it, and we're not limiting that. So this example is just a very quick soft UI page that I've put together from the site builder soft UI template. And then you'll see on the right-hand side, everything is separated into sections. So you can manage the layout here. You can literally switch items around. I don't know why everything is going quite so slow. And they'll jump around like that. And then you can obviously go into items and edit them. This one and the team one aren't clickable, and I'll explain that in a minute. But if we just go into the hero item, you'll see that you can edit the content without breaking the code. And that's something we've really wanted to do for many years. We have that with web apps, and we obviously really wanted to make that work with unstructured content, or effectively now structured with your own schema. And you can manage things like background images. That's something that was tricky to do perhaps with the other version of Studio. And because you were editing in the designer, you could essentially break things quite easily. But we can just switch that out for another image very, very easily. It does work at a normal speed. For some reason, Zoom is slowing everything down. So apologies for that. And obviously we can move that back up to the top again. Then you have some more interesting sections. I'll just jump across to the Flowbite one to give an example there. So you can switch pages really, really easily. You don't have to use the left-hand menu for all of that. You can do everything all within this UI. I have to put this video on 1.5 speed or something afterwards. Apologies for the speed. So with this one, as I said, this is just switched to our Flowbite tailwind layout. That's the only difference. You can run whatever you would like. But if we scroll down to the team layout as an example, that's the third one down. What we have here is the fields. We did show this last time, so I'll go over it quickly, where you can edit normal content, but we've also got lists. So in here, you can add another item to this list. This is called team, but this layout could do whatever you want it to do, really. It could be for features, anything. And it's going to add static content at the moment. So you've got a third item in here where you can pick a completely different image. This layout could benefit from a tiny little CSS tweak to make all the images line up correctly. That's something that is totally up to you on the layout side of things. The editor has no bearing on that. It's totally your control. But you can see that you can edit your content really, really easily. What's really powerful, as we showed before, very quickly to show again, is you can switch that out to be dynamic content. So let's say you want to bring blog posts in, or team web app, or whatever it might be. You then map your fields. I'm just going to probably pick the wrong ones, but let's just prove the point. And then we put slug in for the URL, and you'll see that as it catches up, it's now outputting blog posts. So a really, really quick and easy way to manage dynamic content within a page without touching any code or building any list views. Then further down, we have a blog list, which again isn't editable. So this one is actually, if we click the edit button, you can click edit on any of these layouts and see how the layout is actually built behind the scenes. So on this team one, we have just these tags and fields that help you map your content and make it editable for the user. And then you've got a for loop to make the list of items and any components that you have, components, things like buttons. But if we click on the layout for blog list, you'll see that the code that's in there is an include for the blog module. So that's just a standard Siteglide way of including a module onto a page, and you do that normally. If you do that in Old Studio, you obviously see this liquid code, and it's not very user friendly, and it's not editable, and yeah, just not very useful there really. Whereas here you have it in the layout, so that's reusable across pages and sections. And then on the page, you just see it's rendered, which is a lot more useful and user friendly for the customer. You might still end up making some things editable and having some fields or whatever it might be in the layout. But this is a good example of just being able to drop something in. Same with products. So even if we don't have the functionality yet in New Studio, we have the ability for you to include functionality. So you could replicate an existing page quite easily just by using sections. Next up, we have the pricing one. This again is just a good example of fields, components, and lists. It also shows a limitation that we have at the moment and a change that we're going to be making. So if I just show you the list, you can see that I've got 3 items for the plans. And what we've done is had to build a field, well, an item, I guess it's a field, but it's not a database item. For each feature, what we'll plan to do with that is have an array so that you can just add multiple. You wouldn't be limited to 5, or you wouldn't have to use 5. But most importantly, if you want that button to appear per card, at the moment, we've just got this components area on the layout itself. And if I update that um, component, it's going to update it across all of the items. One big change that we're making there will be to, oh, so slow to update, apologies, will be to make components. This is some feedback from Devon actually, having a quick play around, make components work exactly the same as sections. So they're completely separate things and they can be dropped in, they can be stored in a library and you can reuse them across pages, but you can also insert them into lists. So in this list, you would be able to add a component called button, and you'd therefore then be able to edit the content and the link for that button within that list item. I hope that makes sense. It's an obvious extension and improvement that we would like to make. And then lastly, on this one, we've got the form a form. Again, that's using a normal site builder form. So all I did for this was I actually went off to site. Have I got it open? Apologies. I went off to site builder, and for now I just grabbed a form and installed that layout. But obviously we're working to pull across anything really valuable from there are other features. But with this one, it's literally just a simple layout, which is pulling in the form, liquid include. And what we've done is we've created a field called ID and put the tag for that in, and then therefore you can switch out your form ID quite easily. That's just a simple example. We'll obviously make forms fully integrated into this functionality so that when you add a new section, forms will have its own kind of way of working. You won't have to do that route. But we just want to show at the moment that we've got a mechanism for kind of doing existing functionality, but we'll make it native to this soon. While we're here, so you can create sections really easily, and we'll talk about that more in a second. And then obviously you can put them in categories, and you can do something called custom HTML section. So that's where you might literally just want to have a script, or you might just want to have something that the user is meant to edit here, rather than it be a full section that's managed globally. Different use cases for that, but it's there as a feature for you. Also got page details. Again, this is copied across basically from normal Siteglide pages where you can handle page title, whether it's enabled or not, and then SEO settings, that kind of stuff. Again, nice and easy for the customer to use. So you're seeing a rendered preview here effectively of the changes that you're making, and you can view the actual page as well by clicking the view button. Again, it should load pretty fast when you're using it. That's the page itself. And you've got some tools to go full screen for the UI. You've got tools to see it responsively as well. Again, that's just based on your framework that you've got set up in your template. And then ultimately you've got a publish button, which will save those changes. And yeah, you can then view the updated page. I think those are the main things on pages itself. Does anybody have any immediate questions?
Just quickly, Luke, try force quitting your Figma and cursor because it will be down to CPU usage, which is why.
Thank you. I'll do that now. I was hoping to show cursor, but I'll open that back up again later. Cool. Thanks, Josh. Good to have you here.
You just jump onto details. Just to so I just
Yep.
wanted to, so obviously these are showing within the template, which is fantastic for end users. So in terms of that's just all as we've got now, then I assume in the page view.
I believe so, Josh. Maybe not secure zones yet.
Yes,
No,
because
there's no robots on there yet. There was you've added that in.
Let's open up a page separately and just compare. So this demo site that you'll be able to use is a copy of the Siteglide, the Flowbyte e-commerce template. So it'll have all of that in there anyway, and you can play around with either copying it into the new editor or just using the data. But yeah, so we've got.
Yeah, so things
I think those.
Would we have to come into pages to configure these things?
We want to replicate everything that's available in regular pages in Studio. So that would be
Right.
something that has been added in since I created that panel, essentially.
Okay. And are we therefore thinking that actually pages will effectively disappear and be replaced by Studio if you're doing a full build? And then I guess the follow-on question is, what's involved with, you know, if the client wants this functionality, there's obviously a piece of work to do on it in terms of getting everything tagged, isn't there, from our point of view?
Well, we are making that is the only downside, or it's the only big piece of work. So we're really working on that as our next challenge. And I've got a quick video I can show you of how you can overcome that very, very quickly. But we're going to be building that into the UI. But yes,
All right.
you could switch out. So in this example, you can effectively take the about page and rebuild that by creating each section as a section in the new editor and then just dropping it in. So there would be some work to convert this site or any site into the new way, but that's what we're really focusing on and speeding up. To answer your question as to whether pages gets replaced, I think it's going to be one of those things that evolve. The answer is no right now. Like, we don't want to stop anybody doing things the way they want to. We will support both ways. This is just the new version is basically an evolution of where we were going with Site Builder, but we
Right.
want it to be fully integrated. That was the problem before. I think we will get to a point where there won't be any reason not to use the new way. But you might still end up building a custom portal or something very bespoke where the client doesn't need to do any editing, and you might just not use the new way at all.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And that will be down to you guys giving us feedback, helping us evolve the product, and ultimately you guys deciding which route we go potentially.
Cool.
Let me show the theme and section side of it then, because I think that will give you the answers maybe you will need to know whether this is, I guess, whether it's viable in terms of the work involved, because there are obviously benefits to the customer only being able to, well, not being able to break code. But the other thing to consider is that we've had to consider is it flexible enough? What's involved with giving them all the different sections and features that they want? Really, you need a very, very big library of different layouts and components. And then you need things like settings where you can then adjust them as well and control the styling even further, adding in buttons, switching the order, that kind of stuff. So we'll just continue to make it more and more flexible and powerful, to a point where, yeah, I don't think there would be a reason not to use it. But it's not mandatory. Let's just quickly jump out and have a look at templates and themes. So this area definitely needs more work. Obviously, we want to make theme management and template management as easy as possible. We also want to encourage authors of themes and templates to be able to put them in the marketplace, potentially sell them, that kind of thing. Or you guys just have a really repeatable, reusable way of building sites. So at the moment, you have to create a theme. You create a theme here. You just give it a name. And then you would go into that theme. So let's go to the Bootstrap one as an example. And you start creating sections. So the theme effectively from this area is just a library of sections. But if we just jump back to templates, you would then build out your template based on that theme. And you can have multiple templates. We're running two completely different websites on the same domain, same studio tool at the moment, and you could have as many as you want running, but your templates control that as they do in Siteglide currently. So in here, you just basically have to have links to all of your CSS files, and you'd probably want to set up your header and footer and add some scripts maybe, but that's all basic standard stuff that you guys do anyway. It's just we're giving you a place to put it that then works with how pages work. So yeah, you could be working in Bootstrap, Tailwind, whatever it may be. So once you've got your template set up, back to kind of your question and where we all need to be thinking about making this easier is coming into themes and looking at sections, because sections define how how flexible it is and how you build out the site. So if we go into FAQ as an example, I've got a video I'm going to show because that's probably a more realistic way live on a demo to show it. But you'll see in here that this is just a soft UI static FAQ layout that we had from Site Builder. Literally, just I'll show you how I got that. I went to Current Studio where soft UI is installed. I grabbed the FAQ layout and then I literally copy and pasted that code and dropped it into here. And then rather than creating the fields and putting the data in, which takes a little bit of time, what I did was I used an AI tool. Don't know if you guys are using Cursor, but it's just an example of one of the tools that can do AI-based code editing effectively, an agent. We're going to get that functionality into this UI. So you'll soon have an area where there's a prompt and you can ask it to do something. So I will just quickly play that video because I think that's going to give you the information we need. Please let me know. I think I have to, sorry, I'm just going to stop sharing and share again and make sure that it's got audio on. Right. Apologies. I don't think the audio is going to work, but I'll talk you through it. So can everybody see this?
Yep.
And can you hear anything?
No audio.
Okay, I'll turn it off so I can't hear it. Yeah, so we'll just walk through this quickly. So what this is showing is before I updated that FAQ layout with the tags, I had literally just, I'll speed on a little bit, I had just dropped in that static code from Site Builder from Soft UI. And then what I did is I switched across to a CLI, effectively, my IDE called Cursor, which uses VS Code. And I wrote prompt, which was literally to, it'll appear there in a second. I said, based on how the sections work in the theme Flowbyte folder, can you do the same for me for the FAQs in the Bootstrap folder by adding the liquid and the metadata to make it editable in the UI? So I told it that, and obviously it could read the team layouts and see how that worked. We're going to be updating the scheme. We're going to be writing the schema and making it very clear for AI tools to understand the schema and learn it and learn all the different things that it can do. But anyway, I've asked it to do that and then clicked generate. And that's going through and updating that FAQ layout. And you'll see here, it's replaced static H2 and static P tags with those fields, and it's updated the metadata as well accordingly. And it's even done the lists. If we go down a little bit, I think you'll see the list fields here. And if I scroll down, you'll see here it's put in a for loop with the data and set it up correctly. So I'll just speed on to see if there's anything. So yeah, effectively that has then got us to this position here, which is where it wrote all of that code. So I didn't do any of that myself. I just copied from somewhere else. And you could be copying from a theme forest template. You could be copying from an existing site. You could be using our library that we're going to keep expanding. The key for us will be to keep making this easier and easier. So at some point, you probably won't even want to come in here and do that per section. You'll probably want a way to import a library, or we'll just keep working to make it quicker and quicker to import and create sections. Nick, does that do you think that helps solve the challenge of getting these set up?
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, I guess the next step from there is, can we take multiple pages within Cursor? I think we've got a couple of AI dev tools, but we haven't really used them yet. Well, I say we haven't. I clearly haven't. But whether the guys have used them, but yeah, certainly for these kinds of kind of find and replace jobs, it's perfect, isn't it? So yeah. I'm hoping there'll be an AI tool to migrate everybody over to the new stack.
Oh, well, that's automated anyway, really. So,
we're
yeah.
looking forward to drilling that. That was a question for the end anyway.
Yeah, sure. No, we're that's going to be that should be very simple. Yeah. Yeah, so obviously cursor is just the way to do it right now, but as soon as we get it into here, it's just going to make that whole process a lot nicer, I think.
For the just sorry for the settings where you've got like the head code and stuff, can you pull the content section that already exists for head as a liquid tag as opposed to just because obviously the sites at the moment, I'm thinking everything sits in content sections for that stuff. So
So, Josh, you might be able to answer this better than I can, but you effectively would just set up. So I literally went into the site builder template. This is exactly the same site. I'm just not in the new studio right now. I went into the template, which was, sorry, no, it was Soft UI. So that's the one. This is the one installed by Site Builder itself, and I copied anything from here that was important. I think you're asking, can you copy
but a lot of our sites
things like
they
that?
have a code they have a code snippet which has got the head code in
I
because we
see.
generally keep it separate from all the tailwind stuff because it's easy for us to find, and we just drop it into the template as a tag.
That's not a problem. You
No,
can.
that'll work. That's all right. Cool.
We are going to be adding some functionality in for themes as well that allow you to add default head scripts for it as well. So anytime you use that theme, it will automatically include relevant CSS and JavaScript so that you don't have to redefine it in your template essentially. So that'll also help on that front. But yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So it won't
Just
render
on this one,
the
Josh.
left-hand. Yeah, it won't render on the left-hand side at the moment. We need to update templates to use a newer version of the page renderer, but it will load that on the front end when you actually render it.
And the solution with that at the moment would be to put it into a no, because you need it in the head. So yeah, we'll fix that.
It won't be visible in the left-hand side essentially shortly.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't expect
Anything. Yeah, so anything that you can currently do using Site Builder or Siteglide, we want to obviously just make work seamlessly in here. There'll just be some things that do right now and some things that maybe you need to we need feedback on and work through on together. This code view is expandable, by the way. We're looking at obviously improvements to this in terms of bringing the AI tools into this process and stuff. So all of this will probably evolve as we go. We just wanted to get a really usable version out straight away. Josh, anything else you think I should specifically show?
Probably adding a field manually because I don't believe the section editor was available in the last town hall.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll jump across to themes. What I was going to do was, yeah, build one out live, but I think the cursor way is a much better way of doing it. But stats, if we just open up two windows quickly. So I'll open up the Bootstrap 5 page. Again, it is running a little bit slowly. It'll be running normally when you use it. So here you'll see that stats isn't editable. It doesn't do anything. So that's this section here. You can click edit and you can edit the layout from within this panel, or you can go across to sections so you get the full width. Totally up to you. Currently, to create a section, you have to go to the sections area. Very, very soon, you'll be able to just come into let me do this again, click add section, and you'll be able to create a section from here and put it in the category that you want to put it in. Obviously, you can currently click edit. So yes, so let's do it from here. It doesn't really matter which. Obviously, we would try and get you try and use a cursor to do this, but for now, let's just do this. So this would be a loop. So we would create a list called stats. And then the fields are value. It doesn't really matter what you call them. Then name. Sorry, just doing this very quickly. Name, and then we've only got one more, haven't we? Description. And then all you would literally need to do is you need to look for where it loops. So we're just isolating this effectively, and we're going to grab the code for the list itself. So copy that. You're going to grab the closing bit and put it here. And then you're going to grab each value, each tag, sorry, and put those here. Get rid of the others. I've rushed that, but hopefully that's correct. You can preview. You can see what that looks like and check if it's broken. It's not showing the, oh, it is showing the CSS there. So that all looks correct. If we now go back and let's just reload the page. I would probably recommend like removing and adding again, but in theory it should all just work. But I think we'll just remove that section, add another section. Maybe I did get it wrong. Let's have a quick look. So
I think you might have to click on list itself. I'll take a look at that because it normally assumes fields is the first open. So if you go back to pages. Yeah.
oh yeah, apologies. Yes, you'd normally have title something, and then we can add an item. Sorry, Josh, do jump in if you want to, and then you'll see those items appear. And obviously you can add more items. Again, it's very, very slow. Apologies. You can then, like with all the other sections, you can then make that dynamic as well and say that I want to pull that from FAQs, for example, and the value is the name. And then this is going to look terrible, but it's just an example of what you can do. Let's put that back. So that should update back to just the static content effectively that you can manage here. Any questions on that? Just save it to prove the point. Publish that. Reload this page. See that section there. Yeah, I think those are the main features. I think we probably just really could do with some help using it, testing it, and most importantly, figuring out what are its strengths, what would we like to see developed and enhanced, what is missing, what perhaps isn't working quite as well, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think it will be really interesting to see what it can already do that means you wouldn't use pages. Where are the limitations? I mean, e-commerce is if we just jump back to the other one quickly, e-commerce is going to be quite an interesting one because yes, I've just dropped out a list of products onto the page, but I don't know. Obviously, e-commerce is pretty complex, so we might need to think about how that's all going to work together. But yeah, we've got the starting point to play around with. I think I'll stop sharing and let you guys ask any more questions.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to play around with it, aren't we? To get processing, working out how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just realised, and I haven't shown you how to do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
it's in alpha now. So if we're kind of because the logical thing is for us to just take the next client and give it a whirl. But what are the timescales
Yeah.
for this to be? I guess subject to what we find en route. It's probably the
So right now it's on this domain, as I mentioned, and you would literally just go to Marketplace. I've got this filtered by module and template at the moment, but you'll see that we have a module called Studio Alpha Release, and then we have a site template. So for now, just click that one, create a new site off this template exactly as you do for the others if you use those, and play around with that. You will soon be able to just start from the module and set up your themes and stuff, but I think that's probably not the right way to go at the moment. Best to start from our template, and then yeah, as soon as we'll keep working on this with you and with feedback and everything. I think it's absolutely fine to try and use it for a project, but I just, with it being an alpha, I would just bear in mind that it's better to test, because you might find that there are breaking changes at some point. So if you might want to test with an existing site, trying to convert a page over. You might want to just play around with the demo that we've got set up. By all means, great to use it for projects. We're going to start looking at how easy it is to start that way. But we'll just have to keep working with you guys in terms of what's really enough for production ready sites.
Yeah, I think I'd be loath to put it on an e-commerce site at the moment, but a simple brochure site would probably be okay. It is, yeah. I mean, we very rarely use the studio templates, if at all.
Yeah.
We need to be able to put our own stuff. So if that's not going to work, then at the moment, then we need that in place before we start messing around with it, really. But for project,
it will work. I have just thinking aloud. If you create a blank site and then you install the new module, would you then just come into the UI and start creating themes and templates and pages?
Exactly. You can do it on a completely blank site with no content at all. You just create a theme there and your template, create your sections, job done, piece them together.
Yeah, I mean, we use Flowbyte anyway, so it's not.
Yeah.
All you'll have to do is,
ways.
yeah, you'll just have to set up just make sure you get your CSS and everything hooked up. We're just saving you the bother of doing that. But yeah, if you want to start blank, that's absolutely fine. You just install the Studio module, not the template, not start from the template.
Okay.
The reason for suggesting that basically is so that you have some example sections in there ready to go, so that you can use those as a reference for how they're built and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
play about it without having to create those sections manually.
Yeah, I mean, we could always create another site with all the current, the bog standard themes on, and just use 2 windows open and copy across between two. It's not an issue.
Well, actually, you could just copy one of your sites and then install the module and use. If you've got like a starting template of your own, then use that. That's the discussion I think we need to be having next, is what do people actually want from the starting point? Like, do you want site templates pre-made, or actually you just want a really easy way to insert and build sections using AI?
I don't know what Nick and Justin think, but I'm thinking that we have our own library sat on our own code, on our own GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever, and we just have a load of sections on there that relates, and we can just drop them in, and
makes sense.
Away we go, and then obviously style them to match whatever Dan designer puts together. So.
Exactly. I think that's what we haven't really made easy enough in the past. It's not. Yeah, you'll now be able to have your own IP as essentially installable and compatible with this out of the box, and you don't have to use anything from us. And then some people might want to just go to ThemeForest every time and import a new template. So it'll be totally flexible. I guess we just don't want to go and build a library of 20 different snazzy templates if that's not what people want to use.
Yeah, I'm obviously only speaking for ourselves, but there may be other people who quite want 20 other snazzy templates and just want to pull it out of the box and away you go. So
Yeah. But obviously, if we go the AI route and make it really quick and easy to build out sections, then it's going to facilitate all of those routes. So we're going to try and focus on making things quicker and easier, and then the problem solves itself, I think. Mm. Liz, sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any questions or feedback?
It's interesting because I was thinking before, like the clients, I've got like it's the client, isn't it, that drives what they want to do. They either get you to do everything, or they want to update the things that are important to their business on regular regular times, or there's the ones that want to do a bit more. I'm so interested in that group in the middle. I think this is going to help them. The ones that don't have a lot of IT knowledge, but they want to go and change their dates for courses or change their, stats or whatever they want to do. And normally I've used web apps for that. So I think that they're the ones I'll target first, that just to keep them happy that they can go off and do it themselves and not have to get me involved at all. That would be good. Yeah. I think I'd probably do more by that way. And then obviously new builds. Yeah, I'll certainly look at it for that. Yeah. It's always hard to go back to the existing clients to change them over. Yeah. Unless they want a new look and feel.
One use case I think that is good for existing sites is landing pages. We've always talked about what if you need somebody just to be able to build out a landing page, and it's never been that easy. Whereas this would be perfect for that. You have a separate template maybe set up just for people being able to edit or build. We're also going to add user roles fully like the granular Siteglide user roles, or the same ones effectively, so that you can not let them create pages, you can not let them create sections, or you can, give them exactly what you want. But I would have thought landing pages is a good place to start for anybody who needs that functionality.
yeah, we're trying to make it as easy as possible, for clients to build landing pages, and for a marketing team, if they suddenly decide that they need to build a landing page quickly, they can do it without having to bother the dev team to do it. So you hear the horror coming from the marketing department as I suggest something like that. But even somebody like me, you can just go, right, okay, fine, I can just drag and drop a section together to create a landing page without having to know too much code is very handy.
That ICP that both you and Liz have outlined just there was actually the genesis of this idea. It all came down to clients going, look, I want to be able to edit these pages, but they would jump into HTML and they'd end up breaking it.
Yeah.
And structured data is exactly the way to go about it. And so people had gone away and created web apps to manage pages and stuff like that, but it just never felt like the right way to go ahead and build things. And so when you combine those two ideas, structured data and being able to piece them together, you then get a really powerful solution to enable your clients to make the changes that they've always wanted to, really. And
I think one client too, we've got, I've built some web apps for her that a very specific, they're just a single web app for item, just one set of items on one page. Well, she's a great target to convert to this. Use it a little bit more, because they change what they want to do too from year to year. Interesting.
Exactly. And for some of those clients that are going to be a bit more hard to convert to this, the new custom fields functionality in Siteglide is a fantastic way to get some of the benefits of what the new version of Studio is offering, but in a less ramp up in terms of setup, essentially. So we've used it to quite good success on a client site, which I can quickly show in terms of them being able to easily. So I'll just show my screen quickly. So this customer wanted 3 different verticals, basically 3 different copies of the site for different verticals. So they've got Kiwis, Aussies, and insurance, and each one of them has a slightly different theme to it. So you can see this has got green to it, and Kiwis and property has a red and blue, essentially. And they wanted to be able to easily edit this content. And so for each one of these pages, we have added in custom fields for each one of them. So you can see we've got the gallery, the intro title, the sections, and the cards down here at the bottom. And this is all structured data. And anytime they want to make a change to this, so I'll change this to 2015 quickly. If I view that, it will update it accordingly in here, and also not affect the other page, which is this one, because that has a different title essentially. And the way we're handling these verticals is actually quite interesting. Instead of having all the content in this page, we're doing an include, which then does render page and includes the about, and that will then go into the partials folder. And we can see about here. This is the actual page content, and it's all shared across all three of these different pages. So whenever I make a change to the core about partial, it updates it across all three verticals as well. So that's quite an interesting use case there. But custom fields has been perfect for this client because they want to just be able to go into pages, find the page and the vertical that they want to update, and update the content accordingly in here. So I highly recommend checking out custom fields for some of those harder to convert clients if you haven't already.
Thanks, Josh. That was one of my next topics, was to ask if anybody's managed to use custom fields on pages. While we're on that topic, anybody else managed to use it? I think, John, you were.
Yeah, I think we did.
It came at the right time.
It did, yeah. I think we need it to pull through a data source to the back end of a client site. So yeah, that worked really well for them, which is very, very handy. So all good.
Good. Do you see many use cases for it, or is it just very random things at the moment?
It's going to be a bit random depending on the client, but you know, it's kind of going to do the similar thing to what we've got with the new studio side of things. So it's
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, at some point I'd love to have a discussion with everybody about even the name studio. There's so much similarity to different ways of doing things. I think we'll just need to let it evolve, and we'll need to get some feedback. We'll need to see what the limitations are. Obviously, the plan with this tool is that most CMS tools out there, most tools like this have limitations quite quickly. They only work for building a landing page, or they only work for very simple types of content. We want to make it so that it can handle everything and get the power out of Siteglide. So if that ends up being the case, yeah, that might be the only way we need to go. So yeah, I think just let's keep exploring it. We'll figure out what to call it, where it fits, how it compares to those other more flexible or more bespoke features, I guess. And take it from there. Yeah. Any other comments on either, I guess, or how the two work together, custom fields on pages or new studio? So see, Rox has just joined. I hope all the time zones and everything were correct. Is it? Hi, Rox. Hope you're well. Can you hear me, Rox?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, all good. I do apologise if the time zones were not correct. We've been going for an hour, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No problem at all. Well, we'll have the recording. But yeah, we've shown off the Siteglide, the new studio feature so far, and we've just been talking about custom fields on pages. Is that something you've used at all?
I haven't used it yet. I just saw the message that came out the other day in the newsletter. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Have you demoed that yet, or you're just talking about? Yeah, okay, sorry.
A little. Josh gave a really useful demo of that and how you can use it to manage multiple versions of pages.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have any questions on it? Or?
I'll probably watch the video, I guess.
Sure. Apologies. Okay, so yeah, I think we've talked about studio and custom fields on pages. Next something we've got coming next week, pretty much, is the site API. That's obviously been there for quite a long time, so really keen to get that out. In some ways, it might not affect much of what you're doing right now, but it's a major update from our side, with lots and lots of benefits. So it's going to remove any performance reliability issues based on removing load from our API, because everything's currently channeled through our API. And it will also ensure that anything that you do with Zapier or anything like that isn't affected by our API. So two very important trade-offs there, or important points. But even more importantly, from a flexibility perspective, we'll be able to add new endpoints really easily, and you'll be able to add your own endpoints as well, because you'll effectively have your own API per site, fully customizable. A great example of that is we'll be adding an endpoint for pages. So what we've just shown with Studio and custom fields and everything, you'd be able to access all of that via API and essentially have a headless CMS if you needed to, or connect it up to something else that also needs to leverage that code or data. So that's just around the corner. It's obviously quite a complex one to try and release. Any questions there? I think if you're using Zapier, that's the final piece for us to update, and you would need to make a few changes to use the new version. But we'll explain all of that when it comes out. But for the API itself, it'll be pretty similar.
So is there any syntax changes in that, or?
I don't think so as such. It's just Zapier currently does everything via polling, or a lot of it, which is not a good way of doing things, not an efficient way. So we'll be using instant zaps by push method going forward. So that'll be much better.
Right, okay. Oh no, I use the API for various things, so, but directly the API
Yeah.
rather than through.
Sure. Well, we're not going to be, is both will run simultaneously for quite a while, and we'll have good docs on it to make sure that it's clear on how you'd switch over. But I don't think there's any real big changes there.
Yep, okay.
But we'll release information.
I'm now worried that everything's just going to fall over when you, you switch it next week. So I look forward to that.
It's not a switch. It's literally not. There's no switch. We're just releasing something new. It's completely separate, and you'll just be able to start using it.
Right.
Even on Zapier, it'll be a new version. So the old version will just stay there as normal, and then there'll just be a new one available.
Cool.
Good. And then, sorry, Liz.
Oh, yes, I just remembered I did use that custom page fields the other day for a great example where one of the clients has 4 information sessions every year for a big program they run, and we use one form, so we're always using page parameters to feed to the form. So I split all those out for the custom fields on the page, because every time they go and mess around with those page parameters, someone makes a mistake. So that's just, taking that out of the equation now. So they're wrapped with that. Yeah, it's good.
Great. Yeah. It's hard to know what it's going to be used for, really, but it's clearly like a concept that we know is right. We've known it's crazy. We've wanted to do that for such a long time. We've had it with web apps and that database. We just haven't done it with pages effectively. So we've now got it in 2 places at the same time, which is hopefully useful. We'll just have to see how we can just keep making things better and easier for you, and advance the new Studio UI.
Is there any plans to do a similar thing with company information?
On the roadmap for literally one of the next 5 or 6, I think it is to add custom fields to company information and to categories. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
That's probably more. So on pages, it's quite different, because that's using JSON and sort of structured data without it being a database. Whereas on company information, categories, and everything else like web apps, it's within the database side of things. So really, it's just extending what we already have on web apps and modules and that kind of stuff to the things that it should already be on. We're just going to get those done. Pages is quite a different route, and yeah, glad we've got that one out there. I'll just mention a few next steps, and then if anybody wants to discuss anything else, let me know, but I'll just pull up my screen. So again, for anybody that doesn't know, we launched this new roadmap back in January, early January, and hopefully it's been a better way. We're definitely able to manage this better and keep it more up to date. But you'll see on the right hand side the things we've released quite recently. So pages, custom fields. We've done change logs as well. So we've got a new feature in here to be able to do change logs in a nicer way, really. So that's talking about custom fields on pages, meta name robots. So you can now specify that in page settings, and adding categories to the auto sitemap include. So you can now add that into here. But then yes, back on the roadmap, we have the API and Zapier is a big one. That's in the works. That's coming out very, very soon, next week. And then the Studio Alpha release is today, so we'll get that updated. And then next up, we have custom fields on categories, enable, disable on categories. A big one that I know people are interested in for sort of the new stack route is native image optimization with Cloudflare. That's as I've discussed with a few of you, that's probably the deal breaker or the reason to get customers excited about moving across. So that one's going to be around the corner as well. And then obviously a really important one for you guys, Nick and John, is attribute combinations in e-commerce. That's these aren't in a specific order. We're working on these all pretty much together. There's different people
That's
working on
large
different
red.
things.
That's something like large red socks type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being able to do it, but also having a UI that helps make it a lot quicker and easier, automated. And then yeah, a few others in there, company information, custom fields in there as well. Again, these are a little fluid as to exactly when they come based on who's working on them and that kind of stuff, but they're all around the same. They're in the next batch effectively and come out very soon. Any questions on any of those or anything else?
No, I mean, the only thing to add is under the attributes, the custom fields and attributes is the other. So we can that would be really helpful. So when you might have a different weight, for example, for a different type of attribute. I know if it's red, but something that's small versus large might be a different weight category. So so that's the other thing, just to be able to put that that extra attribute into sorry, a custom field into an attribute.
I don't think we have that as a request. Are you able to add that one, Nick? Or
Definitely
Sure,
should
you
have.
definitely have, because I put it on. I definitely put it on.
Yeah, it's been talked.
You do that with
Let's
custom
double
field
check.
sets at the moment, or
You can on the main product, but you
But
can't
not against the
not against
attribute.
attribute. Yeah. So you have a load of
With
attributes. You have large. Large is a different weight to small,
Yeah,
and we keep a different postage. So you.
yeah, it's just the odd use case, but it'll be really handy just to be able to put
yeah.
a custom field on all those.
apologies, it just wasn't linking. So yeah,
Yeah, there I am. There I am.
I think
Look at that, bloody hell. Knew I'd done it.
I'll make sure those are linked up. Okay.
Yeah, that then makes
Let's try and bump that one up.
almost kind of sorted at that point from our point of view. Those are the two.
8 months ago, 3 years ago, nice. 5 years ago.
Yeah. Always priorities and yeah, but let's add this one. We'll link it to the other one and make sure this is it makes sense to have it
Look at the two
follow
together.
closely behind, if not at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
I'll make a note of that. No problem.
Yeah, the site
Anything else?
that really needs that, they've just sold the business to two different people, so we've now got two people nagging us for the same same functionality.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely on the attributes anyway, so I'll speak to Maths and see if that's a obvious one to add together.
Cool. Fantastic.
Great. I'm just going to check my notes for there's anything else. Obviously, we are also, well, we've released the UK Oracle and Cloudflare stack. We can be doing migrations whenever, but I think one of the things that we want to get in place is the Cloudflare image optimization to make it beneficial. But if anybody wants to start doing it on the UK sites and start testing it, we can. It's just there's no there's no urgency to do it right now, but more than happy to start looking at it if anybody wanted to. And yeah, we'll have the Cloudflare image optimization out soon.
We've got a couple of sites we're actually rebuilding, so we're going to rebuild them and then push them to the Cloudflare stack after we've rebuilt them. That's quite easier.
Yeah, great.
Majority of the big
and then obviously sorry.
I said the majority of the bigger ones we're avoiding at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to know which way to do it, isn't it? Like, do you do the biggest and know that it's fine, or do you just start small? I think start small is the easy way.
Does the image optimization also do things like resizing and stuff like that, or not?
Yeah, it's really, really powerful, actually. I'll quickly show that. Just a second, just pulling it up.
Does it convert a crap image into a nice one?
You got magic wand and a miracle is what you want, Ross.
Yeah.
I think it actually might do
The
something.
JPEG logo you get from a customer, make it look nice.
No.
35 pixels wide.
I don't have the demo I had from the last town hall. Might be worth watching it, but we showed an image with it already working in Siteglide. We can do it, it's just that it's manual at the moment, whereas we want to make it automated for you guys. But yeah, you can do anything that's on this page effectively. So you can do blur, compression, contrast, pixel ratio. Fit is really nice. I think that's pretty similar to fill proportional from the BC days. Not sure why you'd want to flip it, but you might. Change the format. Yeah, those kind of things. What was the one you asked for, Rock? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I just was joking about turning a crap image from your customer into a good one.
Yeah. So I think quality you can control. Sharpen, possibly, probably not.
You might have some luck with ChatGPT 4.0 image creation. Pass it into there and ask it to upscale it.
I had a customer one day have an online shop, and it decided that it would be really, really clever and save him heaps of money if he got the factory guys just to take a photo of the product and he'd use them. And so they'd have a piece of furniture out in the car park with all the motorbikes and people smoking.
Genius. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and I went, I'm not sure that's a good idea.
No, am I?
Yeah. And what's even worse, you've got 15 different people taking 15 different styles of photograph. It's not even just one person doing the same thing.
Yeah, it was just like, you couldn't even just get rid of the background and make it look all right. It was just, anyway. Guess we've all done.
Surely if you think about it hard enough, they'll be magically beautiful. Is that not web developers? So... I know what it's going to look like in my mind. Can you just make that happen, please?
Yeah.
Well, I remember what I will do. Oh, sorry, Liz, go ahead.
The other thing I'm going to say, rocks, is when you have a client who has a professional photographer and they're still terrible.
Yep.
I have had that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every image, there's 10,000 images, and they've got no naming convention or anything like that.
Cool. So, well, just put the right products in the right place.
Yeah.
ING 2948. Well, thank you very much. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I had that for sure. Why do you want to charge me so much for managing my images?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Tell you what, you spend the time doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've gone into moaning corner now. I'm glad to see it's not just the UK, it's a worldwide problem. It's a global phenomenon. Oh, dear.
Just while I remember, I will just quickly show again how to use the new studio, because obviously Roxy didn't see that. I would recommend watching the video when that comes out, but
Yeah,
just
well,
very quickly, when you go to admin, if you go to marketplace, there'll be two things. So I've got module and template selected as the categories. Studio Alpha releases the module, and we discussed earlier whether you want to just start from a blank site, install this module, and then you would start creating your templates and your themes and your sections and pages. Or I would recommend, for at least the first time, you install our site template. So this will create a site template with everything in my demo included. So you can literally follow the video and follow what we've got in there already. So that's a good way to start. But then, as John and Nick were saying, they want to be able to start without all the all the bulk in there, and just start from a blank site and install just the module itself. The one thing to note is that it's currently, because it's an alpha, it's currently on a new domain called studio-alpha.siteglide.support. You'll need to use that. We'll send out docs on this and information to get started we'll just do that in Discord, I think. But if you can't log in, that's because you're not an alpha, you don't have alpha access, and we can just turn that on for you. Just request it and we'll make sure that gets turned on. But yeah, you should then be able to get into this area here under CMS. You'll see Pet Studio. That will only appear if you're on this domain, and then you can start building pages, templates, themes, that kind of stuff. And the video should hopefully help explain how to use it. Anything else that anybody wanted to discuss? Okay. Yeah, really keen to see how you guys get on with it. Please do. We'll set up places to give feedback. I think mainly there'll be like a Discord place, but also we'll probably have a new board in feedback and roadmap, where you can post bugs, feature suggestions, that kind of stuff, so that it's not clogging up the main area. But yeah, really appreciate any feedback, any help, and hopefully we can make it really useful. But a massive thank you to Josh for he's done the bulk of the work on this, and some of the ideas that he's come up with for it, including the ability to do the data source on a static section, I think is incredibly powerful. So a big thank you to you, Josh. To the whole of the team for managing everything that we've got on at the moment and all the different things that we're working on. But yeah, big shout out to you, Josh, on the studio editor.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really hope you enjoy using it, and as always, any feedback is very much appreciated. We want this to work for as many use cases as possible and to be as easy as possible. So even if it's niggly things, and there probably will be in this alpha version, please do let us know.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone. We'll let you get on and speak soon.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
So,
Cheers. Thank you.